All right, welcome everyone to our weekly press conference with head coach Lance Taylor. The Broncos are coming off a 35-19 win at Northern Illinois. Look forward to wrapping up the regular season on Tuesday at 7:30 at Eastern Michigan. We'll start with an opening statement from coach, and then we'll take questions.
Really proud of our players, coaches, and staff on a gritty conference road win. This team, our players, continue to show grit and their ability to have mental and physical toughness, even in the face of adversity. But there's still a lot of ways that we must improve. We started attacking that yesterday. We want to continue to elevate the standard each and every day and each and every week. Now it's time for us to reset and refocus on a really good Eastern Michigan team. We're in a one-game season, period. And it will take laser focus, elite effort, and attention to detail in our preparation. This must be our best week of practice and prep. This team is well coached. They have a dynamic quarterback and explosive offense and a defense that creates havoc plays and takeaways. I've got a ton of respect for Coach Creighton, what he's done there, who he is as a person and a man of character, but he always has his team ready to play, so we have to bring our best and continue to elevate the standard.
Coach, at this point, you talk about just one game left and one game for just a lot on the line for you guys. At this point, is it just unspoken throughout this building? Everybody just knows there doesn't need to be any kind of reminders. Is that just sort of the mentality for the team this week?
We have built a foundation and mentality of going 1-0. I mean, I've been saying this since training camp, right? You guys are tired of hearing me say that. Our players are probably tired of hearing me say that. So I think, they've put in a ton of great work, and I think you've seen that in how they've prepared and also how they've executed on game day. There's no surprise to me that our best games have been preceded by our best weeks of preparation, and so you try to continue to connect the dots for our players and coaches. I think it's easy. You got to fight human nature, whether it's complacency, whether it's blocking the noise and the distractions, looking at all the what ifs, none of that stuff matters. The only scenario that matters is how we prepare this week and going 1-0.
You look at the performance that you guys had running the game just the other night. We know that you love to have a good ground game, obviously your pedigree, but just seeing that kind of performance of where this offensive line started beginning of the year, losing a lot of key pieces from last year, new positional coach, the amount of growth that you guys have seen from that positional group this year, 5 guys working as one. What can you just say about that cohesion and we're now really seeing it unfold in performances like Tuesday's?
I'm super proud of our offensive line. One, I think what I would say is the tape, the film, and their performance speaks to their growth and what they've done. Coach Pavlik, Coach Will Aarons, they've done an excellent job. We've played, up to 7 or 8 different linemen, different starting combinations, had some guys injured, had some guys come back. I think you see a group that really, I was proud. I thought for the first time you saw an edge and an identity up front for us in a mentality game, and that's what we talked about going into the week. They embraced that and how we practiced last week. We're still doing inside. We're still going full pads and inside run drill on our 4-out practices, and that's because that's our edge. How we practice and how we prepare. If we want to play tough, if we want to play physical, then we have to prepare that way, and it's tough in week 12. But so what?
When you look at the offense, you guys have had games obviously like Tuesday where, just instilling your will, putting up 35 points, obviously against Ball State earlier, 42. Maybe not some of the fastest starts still. And again, going into this week, an opportunity to maybe start a bit faster. What's sort of the mentality there or the focus there to maybe get points up a little bit earlier, hopefully get that ball rolling a bit earlier?
That was one of the first, great point there. That was one of the first things that I addressed with our coaches and our players in our team meeting yesterday. We have to start fast. We can't waste any plays or possessions. We have to maximize every play in possession and come out of the tunnel and the gate ready to play fast and physical and execute at a high level. We have not done that very well or well at all. And so I think in order to start fast, we're going to do some things in practice this week. We're making a point of emphasis. One of the things I appreciate about this group of players and this team is when they've been challenged, when I or the coaching staff challenge them, or they've been challenged in football games, they respond. And so we're going to challenge them this week and, see if we can get that corrected. But you can't start down 13-0. I mean, that's not a winning formula.
Speaking of responding, Brock had a really strong game on the ground after the early interception. I know you mentioned earlier this year about like his confidence in the huddle gives you confidence. Of what kind of between the ears mentally for him makes him so well sort of disposed to play the quarterback position and handle that sort of leadership and failure and that stuff?
Man, he's got a great poker face. I mean, he's a hard egg to crack. You can talk to him, and you don't know if he's feeling great, if he's down in the dumps. I mean, but I think, his poise, he's calm, cool, and collected in any situation, and especially when the moments are the biggest. And I think our other players feed off of that, and it's really been a great calming effect, steadying the ships. Nobody's panicked. That was one of the things I was really proud in the NIU game. We get down 13-0, had not played well for a quarter and a half, but we never flinched. And it's, a testament to Brock, who he is. He's a warrior. He's a winner, his mentality. But also, I'm just starting to see other guys on our team step up and have that vocal leadership. And I've talked about it for 3 years. And we've had it here or there, but we haven't had it when things are the hardest, and when we faced adversity, everybody gets quiet. Now you're starting to see guys step up and start to lead each other and encourage each other. Even after the first drive, where our defense, allows them to go right down the field and score, we're down 7-0 off the rip. Our defensive players didn't flinch. They came over. Let's get it corrected. We're good. Let's reset and refocus. And I think that's kind of the mentality that we've built. But they have to embrace that and do it, and they have.
I've also learning a little bit about Chris O'Leary. I keep hearing he's this like elite communicator, and is that something, I know you coached with him a little bit in the past. Is that something that you've seen kind of all along and kind of made him an easy target to make the next DC here?
Absolutely. First of all, Coach O'Leary is a psycho. I love him. He just brings great energy every single day. I mean, the guy never has a bad day. He builds great relationships. He's always positive and upbeat and finding a way to, I think one of the best things, I sat in on defensive meetings yesterday for, as I do between offense and defense. And one of the things that really stuck out to me is he finds different ways to connect and bring a point home and really make sure that every guy in the room understands what we're teaching, what we want, what the expectation. And I think to be a great coach, you have to be a great communicator and teacher. And he is. That was one of the things that I saw, with him as an analyst and a position coach at Notre Dame. And I had no doubt that he would be able to lead a unit. And I wanted a leader of men, and that's what we got.
And kind of building off that is, I'm sure you had high hopes for him in the defense, but could you have imagined it had been this sort of maybe like season-defining unit for you guys, where it's been so good all along, and really like the sacks and takeaways and just like really keeping you guys in almost every game when the offense hasn't been playing well at times?
I always have high standards and expectations. I think, to have championship standards, you have to do the things that it takes to be a champion before the championships, and that's building great habits. That's having the right people in the building, all aligned on the same page, rowing in the same direction, pulling in the same direction, and fighting for one another, and everybody believing in the same mission and goal. But yes, I mean, I have high standards, and I think even with that, even as well as our defense has played at times, there's still things that we need to get better at. And if you ask Coach O'Leary, if you asked even our defensive players, I think that they would say the same. To me, you always have to have a growth mindset. Don't tell me what what did we do well, but what are the things that we need to work on to improve? And I think that we've done that. We've got better. Better each and every week, which I think is a positive sign, and we're going to have to do that this week. There's plenty of things that we can do better as players and coaches, and it starts with me.
Coach, I heard you after the game say, everybody in the stadium knew we were going to run the ball. Northern Illinois knew we were going to run the ball. We knew we were going to run the ball, and still nobody could stop it. I guess, 3 years ago when you took this job, is when you pull up the tape of what you did, like, is that the type of identity that you had envisioned? Is that kind of performance what you did on Tuesday?
Absolutely. Again, I've had high standards since I've gotten here, and if you go back to my opening press conference, I talked about playing fast and physical, and that's who we want to be, is fast and physical in everything that we do, in every phase, not only defensively, not only offensively running the football, but in special teams as well. And we've got to continue to grow in the pass game and find opportunities to grow and create explosives. And just like I just said, we've got that growth mindset of how can we get better? How can we continue to push the envelope and elevate the standard each and every week? But really, really proud of the physical mentality, identity that we set in that game. I think you saw it on both sides of the football, not just offensively. But we talked about that during the week, and our guys came out and they attacked preparation, and we had a hard 4-out practice. We had a tough 3-out practice, a physical practice. We challenged them inside run, and we're still going good on good. Ones versus ones, and I think you still need that this time of year to really get the speed of the game and the reps. Our scout teams have been awesome. They've done a great job giving us great looks, but there's something to be said about going ones versus ones and good on good, even at this point in the year, and being physical and thudding and playing hard.
I think with this last performance from Brock, just building off of what Andrew said, I think he's tied for the most in Western Michigan history in terms of rushing touchdowns for a quarterback in a single season. I mean, could you see this coming from this kid? I know that there's been stories out of camp of him wanting to go live when you weren't even supposed to go live. Could you see this coming?
I did not know that stat. That's pretty cool. Records are meant to be broken, so that's what we're here for. I think I did see that when he came to me and wanted to go live in our scrimmages, and then how he performed in that scrimmage. He was not trying to run around anybody, make anybody miss. He was trying to run through our defenders, and that just really impressed me. His the gritty mentality. We've talked about that with this team, just having we talk about grit, having that gritty mentality, whatever it takes, and I think that starts with your quarterback. If he's the leader of offense and one of the best leaders on our team, he has to embody that, and he does.
And this last thing is, there's a lot of success going through Western Michigan athletics right now. And I know Dan has been a big part of that, and just emphasizing, just the belief in wanting to be great, not scared to be great. How much of that has kind of affected your program, and how much of that is just kind of what you guys do on a daily basis?
Well, one, I think what AD Dan has done here is special, and probably needs more recognition in what he's done, how he's really solidified and built a cohesive group of coaches and all pulling in the same direction with the same mission and goal, all unified in that. He's done an excellent job. He's a great leader. He brings energy every single day. He never has a bad day. I love my interactions with him because he's always positive, upbeat, but also keeps it honest and real, which I think is important. And in doing that, I think that you build a culture of winning habits, championship habits. And one of the things that I'm most appreciative of, especially here at Western, is, our hockey team won the national championship. I've spent countless hours, with Coach Firschweiler. His willingness to sit down with me and talk through, his maturation as a head coach, give me some advice on how to build, teams, how to build team culture, how to win, what it takes to win, what it takes to build that. But not only Coach Firschweiler, Coach Gernon, Penny, Coach Wiseman. Really, all of our coaches have been awesome. I could remember early in the season when we were 0-3, coaches, our head coaches on this campus texted me saying, "Hey, Coach, you're close. Keep fighting. Keep fighting." And I can't tell you how much those things meant to me. But really, just learning from the other coaches and what they've been through, I think has really helped me in my 3 years, my first experience as a head coach. I think I've grown so much because of their advice and wisdom and things that they've gone through, trying to learn through some of their failures, as well as my own.
Lance, obviously you talk about starting fast at the beginning of the game, and you haven't had that success, but you've also had a way to come back. How do you, when you're down 13-0 at the end of the first quarter, is there something between Walt and Chris and the players that you are like, okay, hey, we're all right, let's settle down, let's keep doing the thing, stay with our game plan? I guess that's the other thing, too. Do you change anything after that start? Do you, on defense and offense, do you talk to the guys and say, hey, we got to do something different here?
Well, I saw Coach Elko's press conference last week after they were down, 30-0 or whatever it was at halftime. And I've actually been asked this question several times over the last several weeks because we've come out and we've started really fast in the second half. We've been able to sustain and finish, and everybody wants to say, man, you gave them a great halftime speech. You had them ready to go in the second half. And I think really, for us as coaches and myself, if we want them to be calm, cool, and collected, even in the face of adversity, we have to be calm, cool, and collected in the face of adversity. And our coaches have done an excellent job of that. I think, Coach Bell, after the first quarter and a half, we couldn't get anything going offensively. We're down 13-0. He and I talked, and he said, Coach, he said, we're going to be able to run the ball inside. We're moving them up front. Let's continue. The game plan is right. Let's continue to stay with it. Be patient. Don't flinch. And I agreed with him. I saw the same things, but it was great to hear him say that and then go out and do it. Same thing with Coach O'Leary. Right after the first drive, he and I, huddled up, talked. Hey, what were the corrections? What do we need to do? Let's get them right. And, we're all in this together as players and coaches. And I think that's, one, why you're seeing us, be able to have some success in the face of adversity, which we haven't been able to do in my first 2 years, not very much. And so the resilience to overcome adversity, not flinch, continue to just play one play at a time. And, that becomes such coach speak about one play at a time, 1-0 this week. But it's so true, because if you worry about being down 13-0 or you worry about the scoreboard, it takes your focus away from what really matters. You got to control what we can control. And I think, one of the best things that we've done, as a team, coaches, players, everybody involved, is be calm and collected, poised, even in the face of noise.
We talked about the offense and defense having a great game. I thought the special teams did well also. Coach Dan Sabach, special teams coordinator, had a good plan. Palmer Domsky had 5 extra points. R.J. Todd did a great job snapping. Hunter did a good job kicking off. Good coverage teams. And I thought Ryan Milmore, looking back at the video, Ryan Milmore had 2 really key punts in that game that pinned Northern Illinois down in their own territory and actually led to a couple Broncos scores.
Special teams was huge in that game. You just mentioned him, but Ryan Milmore had an excellent game. He flipped the field position for us, down the ball inside the 10 twice, and those are game-changing plays, and people don't think about them that way. But it's an opportunity to flip the field and allow our defense to go out and get a stop or make them go the length of the field, show us that they can go the length of the field and make them earn it. But I thought he had an excellent game. Talked about Palmer. He was 5 for 5, did an excellent job. Hunter's been really good on kickoffs. I was really impressed with our coverage units, with kickoff and punt. We had guys flying down the field, hair on fire, and making the tackles. And you saw other hats showing up. There were 10 hats around the ball. And the 11th hat was the kicker, so we don't, he's the safety net. So that's why there were only 10 hats around the ball. But I think the thing in that phase, just as well as offense and defense, is just the consistency to perform like that every single week. We know Ryan Milmore can do it. We know Palmer can do it. That's why I made him a captain last week. We believe in him. He's made some huge kicks for us. He's going to continue to make huge kicks for us. But none of us are perfect. So you have to be able to reset and refocus when you have a mistake or you fail. How do you, the failure doesn't define you unless you don't grow from it and learn from it. And so he's done that. And that's why, he was a captain for us last week, and he continues to push himself. But I think consistency is what we're striving for. We got to see that every single week.
Special teams is often a proving ground for younger kids in the program that are looking to get more snaps on defense or offense. And I think of Joey Pope, who was pretty much special teams the last couple of years. A guy like Braden Steely, who really makes a highlight reel tackle, is he a guy that you could see kind of maturing into that area as well?
Braden Steely has played excellent for us on special teams. He's always the first one down on kickoff. He's the first one down on our punt units. It's important to him. He plays with his hair on fire, but he practices that way. Coach O'Leary said that yesterday and actually showed, to our defensive players, some clips of Steely in practice, how he practiced his practice habits, and then also the game clips of him running down and, making violent tackles. And again, you're just trying to connect the dots in terms of how we prepare is how we play. There is no light switch to show up on game day. And, that is why it's so critical, but he's done an excellent job. He was one of the special teams players of the week for us this week. And I think we've got a great mixture. I think Coach Sabak has done a great job of playing guys who are young and hungry and, can help us on teams, but also playing our best players and our starters. And, there's always a balance because, special teams is a third of the game. It will win or lose some games. So our best players, whoever those are, that doesn't mean it has to be all starters, but our best players have to play special teams. We have to do a great job identifying who the best players are for each position, and Coach Sabak has done that. I think, I'm really pleased with our coverage units and how they played. We've got a bunch of young guys who, have shown promise on special teams, and that's a great way for them to start getting game experience and then continue to grow and get better and be ready for their opportunity, because when you take care of the opportunity that you're given, now you're given more.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Go Broncos.